Roland Mumford of Mumford.law. This is a video on SeanPaul Reyes. They're doing the city council, and he and other free speech advocates are speaking during citizen comments to the Groton City Council, I believe it is, Groton, Connecticut. And they limited the speech to 2 minutes for each person and no more than 30 minutes total. That is what oftentimes you will see city councils or other governmental entity bodies do to restrict city citizen comments when they know that there's a particular issue that evening that people are going to want to speak about. So let's take a look at this, and I'll do an attorney reaction step by step.
Authority over Brian Fahey, former police department, has plenty of authority to level baseless, felonious charges against myself and my cameraman. That's good to it's good to know. My name is SeanPaul Reyes. I'm an independent.
So there, SeanPaul is introducing the background facts. He's going at the city council hard, which I think is great. I really support what he's doing. I did state in my previous video that I don't think that it was wise to go on to the Sergeant Fahey's property, knock on his door, given the contentious issues between the two. I don't think that was a proper decision. I do think it was an abuse of discretion, but it was legal to do. News channels are known to go knock on doors. But I think given the unique situation with him and this particular sheriff and this particular sergeant, I don't think that that was a proper discretion. But I submit that respectfully.
A journalist and the founder of Long Island Audit. I am most importantly a citizen who cares deeply about accountability and public trust in law enforcement. On July 11, 2025, something happened here that should alarm every single person who believes in justice. A Connecticut State Police Sergeant, Brian Fahey, brandished a firearm.
If you will notice, all of these auditors and supporters that are at the city council, they're sort of sitting off to the side. They're using cell phones. And you see how they're set up with a frame that goes around the cell phone on a very good tripod. And that it's amazing what we can do with smartphones today as free speech advocates. We want to record things in real time because if somebody comes and tries to take your phone away, then you still have that video that was uploaded, it was being watched live, or that is being streamed to a server. Because if the cops take your phone, then you may lose your video.
Physically assaulted me and even spat in my face while I was engaged in a constitutionally protected activity, asking questions about suspected overtime fraud, a matter of clear public concern. Let me be very clear, I was 150 feet away from his door on my way out when this armed lunatic stormed out of his house with a gun in one hand, a phone in the other, and rage in his voice. He got in my face, bumped into me, threatened me, pointed his weapon near me.
And let's talk about that. If you haven't seen my previous video, please go and click on those videos. SeanPaul Reyes had gone up to Sergeant Fahey's door. He knocked on it, and apparently there was a Ring doorbell or something similar, so obviously he was expecting people to knock on his door. Fahey comes out, identifies him, and immediately instructs him to go leave the property. Mr. Reyes does so. He starts to walk backwards while speaking into the camera of the second individual that was working for Mr. Reyes. And he's walking backwards. Perhaps he should have been walking forwards, maybe at a little bit faster pace. But regardless, I don't think it would have made any difference. At that point, he's obeying the instructions of the property owner, and he's walking backwards. He's talking into the, again, as I said, the camera. Then that's where I think things turn, and I think that the culpability and illegal conduct on the part of Mr. Fahey begins where he's coming out of the home. There's about 150 feet, as Mr. Reyes states, and he closes the distance and he's holding a gun. That was absolutely unnecessary. There was no threat to him. He could have stayed on his home, or if he did come out, he could have stayed at that distance and maybe walked slowly at a particular pace and making sure that Mr. Reyes was walking off the property. But what does he do? Gets in his face, spits, holding the gun down. Who knows what would happen if Mr. Reyes didn't have that second witness holding the camera and recording.
And spit directly in my face and mouth, all while falsely claiming to 911 that I threatened to kill him, which is a crime for anybody else. This wasn't law enforcement. This was lawless under the color of authority. What happened next?
Brings up a great point there. Mr. Sergeant Fahey had stated a number of times in that video that Mr. Reyes had threatened to kill him online. And yet there's been no evidence produced of that. And if you don't know, watch one of my other videos. Sergeant Fahey has apparently retired, and that has been in one news report, but I haven't seen it in some others, but there may be more news reports out there. You know, it's something interesting about these city council meetings. The Supreme Court has said that they cannot restrict free speech, but they have stated that city councils can restrict can restrict speech during citizen comments under strict scrutiny. Strict scrutiny, Google it. It's a phrase. That's the test for Supreme Court analysis on governmental entities' actions, such as restricting free speech or other things that they do that implicate constitutional rights. Now, they can restrict citizen comments to only what is on the agenda. They can restrict put a time limit, and they can put a cumulative time limit. Otherwise, people would be coming to these meetings and could be speaking till 1 a.m. So I understand that there has to be something reasonable in the restrictions, but they cannot restrict speech, the content of the speech, except to the extent that it has to be a matter that's on the agenda. I personally don't agree with that. I think you should be able to go to city council meetings and communicate whatever you have, whatever it is you want to say, because that's very often the only opportunity that many of these cowards on these city councils have to face you when you speak. And by the way, if you sign the sign-up sheet during these citizen comments and you write your name as the first person, take a photo of it and put the time down that you listed, because something that a school board here local to where I live, Sumner County School Board, I remember one event that I went to, they packed the room full with teachers and supporters and so forth to try to pass a tax to increase funding for the schools and teacher pay raises. Well, the people that first spoke during those citizen comments were not the names that were first listed on the sheet, because I was there, one of the earliest people there, and they will manipulate those sheets like that. And I should have stood up and said something.
The Groton Police Department, I like how, Mayor, you like to try and single yourself out. You know, we're not in charge of the Connecticut State Police or New London Judicial District, but what happened next? Your police department arrived, and instead of arresting the aggressor, the person who committed felonies, they arrested me and my cameraman on baseless charges of felony voyeurism, criminal trespass, and breach of the peace. My bond, which was set by your police department.
Go look up the statutory text for voyeurism on justia.com for the statutes for Connecticut, the criminal statutes for Connecticut. When you read what they define as voyeurism and what the criminal law is regarding voyeurism, and then you apply the facts of the incident with Mr. Reyes on the Sergeant Fahey's property. I guess he's no longer a sergeant, so Mr. Fahey's property, you are going to bust out laughing how absurd that charge is.
Was originally set at $10,000, but on body camera they told me they're receiving calls from high up. Was it you? Was it you? Who were the calls from high up? Was it the police chief who worked for the Connecticut State Police for 22 years? They received calls from high up, and they said, well, now your bond is $5,000.
I believe Mr. Reyes is going to have a claim for malicious prosecution against the law enforcement official or political official that raised that bond. When you are raising bonds for a political purpose or out of malice, that implicates a malicious prosecution claim under Section 1983. And I believe that may implicate other state or federal statutes that I can't think of at the moment. That is an absolute abuse of legal process. And it goes to the issue of due process as well, that it could be a 14th Amendment due process violation because Mr. Reyes is entitled to due process, and due process is very broad in what that implicates. But if you're raising somebody's exponentially 7.5 times out of malice, that absolutely implicates due process because Mr. Reyes is not being given the same due process as what other citizens that were being arrested and whatever bonds they were receiving. And also remember that they did this to Mr. Reyes' camera guy also. They raised it from $10,000, I believe, or several thousand to $50,000, I believe it was. And one of the ways they'll try to screw you around with you on those bonds is instead of making it the type of bond where you can go call a bonding company and only pay 10% of the amount. So if it's a $50,000 bond, you would have paid $5,000 to the bonding company. It's almost, in essence, like a loan, so to speak. And then in this situation, and if they try to make it a cash bond, that is another type of malicious act that may implicate a malicious prosecution claim or a due process violation claim. If they are intentionally making your bond a cash bond where you have to pay in cash full, that is an abuse of legal process. And we just had that happen in a case that I had where for a minor battery allegation in North Georgia, and we're getting ready to file that lawsuit, they made it a $20,000 cash bond when that should have been a citation in lieu of arrest or a very small $2,000 or $5,000 bond that you could have gone and just paid 10% on, not be a full cash bond.
This isn't an isolated incident. Accountability isn't optional, transparency isn't optional, and it is your public duty as public servants to do the right thing, because the people of Groton, the people of Connecticut, and the people of this country deserve better. And you're cowards for limiting it to 2 minutes.
Let's give him a round of applause. He deserves it.
List your address for me.
That should have been 5 minutes, as most city councils do for citizen comments.
Just let her have it.
On another note, we were talking about these cell phone cameras and recording live. Don't ever allow somebody in that city council room to tell you you cannot record that city council meeting. That is a public meeting. You can absolutely record it live, or record it, period. Now, very often during these citizen comments, you have to put down a name or an address. I don't know under the law that you're required to do that. That is an interesting question that maybe we'll do a short video on later. But many of the speakers here, they refuse to give an address, I think, and maybe even a name, and they call out the city council about that because they think that there should be the same fair and application of law to Mr. Reyes as everybody else. This guy speaking here, I believe he has a transparency channel, an audit channel, I believe New Jersey, something they refer to it as. The channel is growing. He's been getting a lot of views. He's been covering this Reyes issue a lot. He even went to the cul-de-sac of where Fahey's property is.
Let me just say, I get it. I totally understand why Connecticut State Trooper Sergeant Brian Fahey would spit directly into the mouth of peaceful journalist Sean of Long Island Audit. I mean, Sean had the unmitigated gall, the unspeakable audacity to walk, not run. You can look up Mayor Franco, give a little respect here. Sean had the audacity to walk, not run, not teleport, not evaporate at 186,000 miles per second off Fahey's property after being told to leave. I mean, come on, Sean. What were you thinking? Everyone knows when a Connecticut State Trooper with an ego the size of his government pension says, "Get off my lawn," you're supposed to dematerialize like you're in a Marvel movie. And the way Sean dared to stand there with a camera, not a gun.
By the way, go to Long Island Audit Channel and go watch the video where SeanPaul Reyes walks by the governor trying to talk to the governor about what occurred, and the governor won't give him 2 or 3 minutes, acts like a coward, and insults Mr. Reyes as if he's not a real journalist. Anybody with a cell phone, anybody with a pen and piece of paper that communicates information is a journalist. We're all citizen journalists to some extent. That was an interesting video.
Not a grenade, but a Canon or a Sony or an iPhone or whatever those damn peaceful auditors use these days. He might as well have launched a nuke, right? The horror, the tragedy, the nerve. But seriously, let's flip the script, because that's what this moment demands. Brian Fahey is not a hero. He is not a protector. He is a government-issued goon with a badge and a bubbling psychological breakdown. He didn't have to come out of his house. He wasn't under threat. He wasn't provoked. He chose to close the distance. And you tried to get away from...
For those of you that may want to get into auditing or maybe some kind of simple video production, look at this tripod here. On the bottom, I'm pretty sure that's a large battery pack, and then that wires into the phone. And then if you notice, a lot of these auditors, you'll see where they're wearing these little wireless microphones. Use the Rode wireless Me mic. They've got some others. They got a Pro, and I think a Go model. Anyways, and there's some others that you can get on Amazon. I think one is also called Hollyland or something. You can literally get these wireless mics that are incredible sound quality. Use them for like depositions at times, or maybe if I'm in the hotel traveling, trying to do YouTube videos. Obviously, I use a Shure M7 Plus mic, which is the best mic you can buy for under a few $100 for doing these videos. This was about $300, but anyways. And so it's incredible what you can use with your iPhone or Android phone. A little receiver will go into the USB-C port of the phone, and then that's the receiver. And then somehow they've got it wired to also where it connects the power. Maybe they're using a little USB-C hub, possibly, so you can put in multiple USB-C points, I assume. But then these other little wireless mics, you can clip to a lapel on your shirt or set it on the podium like that. Or you can, sometimes these other microphones can be, those are the transmitter. So maybe a big microphone or the little smaller microphones there. Those are what you refer to as the transmitters. You can also hook in a microphone into that little transmitter device, whether it's a little lavalier mic or maybe a larger mic. It's just absolutely incredible what you can do today. You could probably buy that entire setup, maybe a good battery like that for 100, 150 bucks. You want a really, really good tripod, especially carbon fiber. Those can be about $200-300. Obviously, you got your iPhone, but then you can get the wireless mic set up to where either you just need one for you as the receiver and then another one as the transmitter. But then oftentimes they'll come with 2 or 3 transmitters to where, like, if you want to do a meeting with 2 or 3 people, and then it's all going into that cell phone. It's really, really interesting now how people can do quality pro-level video production for, you can probably do that whole setup for less than $500. The tripod, you really want a good tripod for that stability.
Responsibility. The reason that this shite show happened, number one, Brian Fay spitting into the mouth of Sean Long Island Audit. Number two, your police, the Groton police, arresting, mind-blowingly arresting.
And going back to talking about the phone, you can see right here the phone that's sitting up on that table. That's transmitting the meeting live. Again, incredible what you can do with cell phones now. But make sure you got a really good cell phone signal.
An innocent journalist and an innocent cameraman. Who gave that order, Mayor Franco? Who gave that order? That's why we're here. Don't blame this man. He's a journalist. He's been doing what journalists have done for generations. Try to get the truth. And you can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth. A reference to A Few Good Men. You gotta love it.
You disgust me. You disgust we the people.
And by the way, the sound that's coming through, I'm trying to find a better way to do this screen mirror recording. I have to use Loom. It's the only application I can find that will record the system audio, meaning what the video I'm playing. I usually use Riverside as my video editor, and the sound comes through much better when I try to do something like what I'm doing right here, but it's not catching the system audio. So I do apologize. You can hear me. I just wish the sound was better, and I usually try to talk into the microphone a little bit closer when I'm doing these types of videos where you see me in the bubble. I'm trying to find a better application where the sound comes out better. Loom is a really easy editor, web-based platform to do this, and I can't figure out how to get the audio gain to amplify it. So I do appreciate your patience with me in these videos and watching me. So that's what I was referring to when I said the guy would not give his name, would not give his address. I don't know that by law a city council can require you to identify yourself with an address to speak. That's interesting.
What you did with the time, what you've never done before, limiting this public speaking time to 2 minutes is terrible.
He's bringing up that issue.
Bringing that point up.
He's bringing up that issue about the 2 minutes. I think that was a violation by the city. I don't think that would pass a strict scrutiny test. Google strict scrutiny, constitutional rights cases, and read up on that. Because if they're doing 2 minute limitations for citizen comments in this particular instance, knowing that the SeanPaul Reyes matter was coming up, well, why are they not doing that in other city council meetings? If there's going to be a bunch of citizens there maybe to support something that the city council wants to promote, I bet you they'll have 4, 5, 6 minute limitations. So when you are limiting the time of speech because of the content and nature of the speech, I don't believe that would pass a strict scrutiny test. And what that means is this is selective enforcement, selective application of a 2 minute limitation based upon the speech, the content involving this incident. If they equally applied that across all city council meetings, that would be a different matter. There has to be equal application under the law. It has to be content, speech neutral.
A rule that's never been used. This is all to silence we the people. Us. We want a voice, but now you've limited our voice. You've limited the speaking time just to 30 minutes. 30 minutes. You see how many people are here? You don't want to hear us. That's why you limited the time. Disgusting. All right, so I'm here today.
And speaking a little bit more about cameras, when I do my main videos and you see the wall background, I'm using a Sony camera, and it's the one that a lot of YouTube content creators use. It's an excellent camera. I'll put the model in the comments, in the description, excuse me. And sometimes it's just easier for me to do it this way because I'm having to use the computer and facing the computer. I use the Insta360 Model 2 with the, wherever you call it, the thing that follows you around, the little gimbal. This both cameras put out 4K video. That's very important. They take in video at 4K, but then what's important is it puts video out at 4K. Many of these 4K cameras only will record in 4K, but when it will not transmit to your computer in 4K, it'll only do it as 1080p. And that's where you get one of these little Elgato cam links is very helpful. That's what I do. That runs a cord to the camera, and it'll make sure that your 4K signal stays 4K and not a 1080p. It keeps that signal 4K going into your computer and recording in 4K. This little Insta360 camera is an absolutely unbelievable little camera, what it does in 4K. I do a lot of Zoom meetings because I have Section 1983 civil rights clients in 3 states. So a lot of my clients I have not met in person, and everything is remote. And that's why I need such a good web camera with sound, and the microphone on it is incredible.
Today, because of what happened to SeanPaul Reyes in your town, he was arrested for peacefully filming and asking questions, something protected by the First Amendment. At the same time, a police officer allegedly spit on him, pulled a gun, and was not charged. That's not fair. That's a double standard. Groton now has a choice. Will you stand up for fairness? I don't think you will. I definitely don't think you will. You just want to hide it under the fucking rug.
They are really attacking the mayor.
The rights of the people. Or will you protect bad behavior by staying silent? I bet you will. I bet you will. Now, I ask you to take this seriously, look into what happened, be open and public, and make sure this doesn't happen again. I would like the other council members to stand up and speak up, because this mayor clearly won't. Please, this is crazy.
Let's watch one more speech, and then we'll call it.
Good evening. To my fellow freedom enforcers who showed up tonight in the name of accountability, and to those
he's to pull his pants up,
uniform, still confused about who the criminal was in Long Island Audit video. Spoiler alert, it wasn't the guy.
Especially when...
My name is Fulcorp. I see how you operate, and I don't want to miss my turn. In Groton, you don't need to break the law to be arrested. You just need to document someone else breaking it. Let's walk through it, slowly, for those still taking notes in denial. A journalist, Long Island Audit, knocks on a public official's door, leaves when asked, calm and respectful. Then bursts out of the house, little Brian Fahey, off duty, armed, enraged, follows the man toward the street, spits in his face, gun on his hip, badge in his mouth, ego on full auto. What does Groton PD do?
Gun was not on Fahey's hip. He was holding that gun in his hand, down by his side, towards the ground the entire time. That gun was not on his hip.
Do they arrest the armed man who just committed assault? The one shouting, I'm a goddamn Connecticut state trooper, like it's a spell against accountability? Nope. You arrest the guy asking questions. And for extra laughs, you arrest the cameraman too. Because apparently in Groton, the real threat isn't the guy with the gun, it's the guy with the tripod. If irony were a crime, you'd be doing life without parole. Let's talk law. Connecticut General State Statute 53A61. Spitting is assault. Physical injury includes pain or impairment of condition. Saliva counts. That's not just gross, that's criminal, and the only people denying it.
He's analyzing the assault statute like I did in my video. It turns out there may have been another assault statute. I still don't believe it applied the way it's written, but I respect his opinion.
Are the ones protecting little Brian Fahey. What he did wasn't disgusting. It was a crime committed in public, on camera, under color of authority. And your response? Cowardice, corruption, collusion. So here I am, clean record, voice steady, camera ready, and I dare you to make your next mistake. So go ahead, arrest me. Throw me in a cruiser, I'll live stream it, narrate it in real time, and by the time the ink dries on your report, half the country will know your names, and none of them will spell hero.
All right, I want to keep this video under 30 minutes. Please give me your thoughts and comments in the comment section. Please click like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.